Hi everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to Bariatrics and Tips and Tricks. Tricks and Tips. This is going to be on the gag reel, I think. At any rate, welcome. My name is Michelle Geeson and I am your hostess as always. Hopefully you can see everything okay. Certainly let me know that you are here, that I can see you, because I would love to be able to say hi and give you a shout out. We're just going to start in just a couple moments, and I'll give you a few minutes to log in and see what's going on. Melissa, are you out there? Hey, how are ya? All right, I'm going to give you just a minute. I'll be right there. All right, everyone, it is 2 o'clock and it is time to get started. Again, I'm Michelle Geeson. Thanks for tuning in today. You know, I say this all the time and I'll say it again. The one thing we all have in common is weight loss surgery. But just because we have this tool does not mean that we have to walk through life feeling deprived. We don't have to worry about eating well and eating good. We can do everything. Food is the center, the complete nucleus of our entire existence, from things that we do at work to holidays and celebrating with your family, birthdays, graduations. So why do we even feel the need to escape it? We can't escape it. So if you can't beat them, join them. And that's what I've dedicated myself to doing, finding ways to live large while cooking small, and making sure that we find flavor in all we do. Because when you find flavor in all you do, you're not gonna feel deprived, and you're not gonna wonder, can I have this or can I have that? And when people ask you, can you have this and have that? The answer can be, I can have whatever I want. I'm making the choice to do it. All of this is really, it's worth the time and the effort. It's worth the planning. It's worth the research. It's worth the reading. And it's worth it because I know I'm worth it. And I know that you're worth it too. So I think that you're in for a really good show today. Today I'm gonna give you the scoop on protein powder. There's a lot to know with regards to protein powder and so many different kinds that are available to us. So we're only gonna graze the surface, but the basis of this demonstration today is afterward, you're gonna feel armed and dangerous to at least get started and start establishing your protein powder pantry. Today we're going to just focus on 5 protein powders, my favorites, but first we're going to get to the spotlight. And the person that I want to recognize this week in the spotlight is Sheila. Sheila's a friend of my mom's, and she is just starting her weight loss journey. She reached out to me earlier in this week and had a lot of questions, and I suggested that she come in and tune in. We don't have any pictures to show, and we don't have any weight loss milestones to report other than the fact that she's made the conscious effort to do something about her situation, and she has chosen weight loss surgery to do that. So congratulations, Sheila. Sheila hasn't made the decision as to what type of procedure she's going to have. It's obviously between sleeve and gastric bypass. And having had gastric bypass myself in 2015, I was able to give her some really good food for thought, pun intended. And so hopefully she'll be talking with the doctor and the dietitian relatively soon. I think she said she had an appointment this week. So Sheila, I'm rooting for you. Let me know if you need anything. Pose your questions to the group. This is an amazing group of people that we have in our Facebook page, Bariatrics and Tips. And I know that you're gonna be great. So it was good to talk to you the other day, and I am so proud of you, okay? So that was our spotlight, yay for Sheila. The first thing that I wanna talk about is some protein powder myths out there, because there are many. And the first thing that I heard when I was researching my protein powders is that they're made for men that want to bodybuild, and that there's a difference in protein powders between men and women, and then children should, you know, have something else if they're lacking in nutrition. I've also heard that they're full of toxins and artificial ingredients. I've heard that protein powders are unnatural and not real substances. And let me tell you this, if you can see it, I mean, can you see this protein powder? Yes, it's as real as it gets. So yes, protein powder is real. And then the other myth that I want to debunk is protein powders denature when heat is added. And you know, it doesn't denature, but when you add heat to anything, whether it's raw chicken or beef or even soup, you're just altering the chemical properties of it. The protein still remains the protein. And that's true for protein powder as well. It all has to do with just finding the thing that's right for you in your cooking situation. Protein powders contain amino acids, and amino acids are the building blocks of life because they help generate protein. Amino acids make up 75% of your body, and they're involved in almost every single bodily function, from growth and development to healing yourself after surgery or healing yourself after an illness, repair, digestion, and the production and synthesis of energy itself. So that's why a lot of people actually turn to protein powders when they're focusing on their workout, is because the amino acids that are contained therein help with that energy synthesis. So amino acids are really different, and there are about 22 amino acids out there, and your body produces 18 of them. So when you're going through day to day, you're depending on other food sources to make up the deficit of those amino acids that are lacking. And that's where you really want to make sure you understand your protein powders. And today, in our quest to better understand different protein powders, we're going to make two recipes. One of them is going to be completely quick, and the other might take a little bit of time, but I've come prepared. We're going to do protein chocolate chip peanut butter cookies, and we're going to do a protein chocolate mousse that's so amazing, and you're going to be so surprised that there's only just 3 ingredients. So, but let's talk about my 5 favorite protein powders, and I've got a couple samples here to show you. The first one that I'm going to talk about is whey protein, and I'm sure probably everyone knows what whey protein is. You know, there's different kinds of whey protein, the whey isolate and the whey concentrate. The isolate is just more refined, so it has a higher protein content. It also, you might want to make sure that you read up more about it if you find that you're dairy intolerant too, because whey is the most popular, and it's derived, it's basically a cheese byproduct. So I know when we were talking a couple weeks back about cream cheese, the whey of the cottage cheese that I used is that liquid, and that is exactly how whey protein powder is made. It is a cheese byproduct, and it's just basically processed into a powder that we can use in so many different things. The whey protein powder has a milky taste, slightly, and that makes sense because it's a cheese byproduct. And it's got a complete amino acid profile that helps you with muscle protein synthesis, like I had said before, which is why it's ideal for working out. And when you're cooking with whey and all these other proteins, you want to make sure that you always include what's called a moisturizer. Moisturizers help create bulk and volume to the batter, and the most common moisturizer that you would use in regular traditional cooking would be oil or butter or margarine. But we're not going to do that. The moisturizers that we're going to focus on in the basis of our cooking are going to be pure pumpkin puree, non-fat plain Greek yogurt, applesauce, bananas, sweet potatoes, or cottage cheese. All of those are amazing moisturizers. Today in my demonstration, we're gonna actually use pumpkin puree. I like it, and I've cooked with it before. But that's what you're gonna deal with when you're dealing with whey. Now I have 3 different kinds of whey protein here. There's a million of them on the market, and it is, I've got Premier Protein, I've got chocolate and vanilla. we are actually using both of these in our recipes today. So, but then I also have the Gene Pro that everybody has been talking about, and that's whey protein too, only this is unflavored. So I'm gonna put these aside because I showed you that. And now we're gonna move over to casein powder. And I did not take that out of the cupboard, so let me do that real quick. I know I've talked about casein before. It's also a derivative of milk, and it's got a similar amino acid profile to whey. But while whey is digested quickly, the casein protein powder takes its own sweet time. And that means that the absorption and digestion rates are much slower. So you might find that the casein protein powder keeps you fuller longer. And that's one of the main things my bariatric surgeon said when I had initially sent her a message to ask her about casein powder. It's also much thicker too. If you look at it compared to, actually I could show you. This is the casein powder, and this is the vanilla protein powder. And you can see they have very different, they have a lot of different textures. This one, casein, looks more like flour, and this one more looks like a sandy beach. So you can kind of see that there. But casein is, because it's flour-like, it's ideal for cooking. But in cooking, the casein powder acts much different because it's much thicker, and it's great for frosting too. And I have tried that too, and it's amazing. I'll make sure that I get that frosting recipe out on our Facebook page sometime soon. But that's one of the reasons why I like cooking with casein. Very good stuff. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is pea protein. And this is what I have. This is the brand that I got on Amazon. It really is, there's so many out there. So again, do yourself a service and really research your, the proteins that you choose. The rule of thumb is that the more ingredients on the back, like don't consider anything with the front. Forget about the marketing, forget about the labeling. I don't care if they have like a big, huge muscle or something that's guaranteed to give you energy or add muscle or whatnot. What you want to do is concern yourself with the back of the label. The more ingredients that are in the protein powder, the less attracted to it I am, because when you're adding fillers and bulk and calories and extra carbs and even fat grams to it, you're getting less and less away from something that's in its more natural state. And that holds true for all the protein powders that we're talking about today: the whey, the casein, the pea protein, the brown rice protein, and hemp. And so when I look at this, just to give you an example, the ingredients are organic yellow pea protein isolate. So the isolate means that it's been processed in a good way, that it's maintained its integrity and its high protein content. There's only 80 calories, 1.5 grams of fat, 1 carb, and 15 grams of protein. So it makes it ideal. And with regards to pea protein, it's delicious, but it's more savory than sweet. So if you're used to the sweetness of a whey protein, this is going to be a little bit different, but it's wonderful for those who are vegan or vegetarian. But it does have an incomplete amino acid profile. So it means that what you want to do is you want to make sure you pair it with another protein that has the opposite nutritional profile, amino acid profile. Because if you have this and that, you're going to combine the two together and you'll get a more complete amino acid profile. So pea protein is really good when it's combined with rice protein. And that's going to be number 4 on our list today. Brown rice protein, again, like the pea protein, has that incomplete amino acid profile. It lacks lysine, and lysine is essential for bones and connective tissues. So again, you would pair it with something else that would help offset its shortcomings. Brown rice protein bakes beautifully, but it's a little chalky. So you want to make sure that you add your moisturizer to it. And you don't use a lot either. You want to make sure that you're limiting. My recommendation is a 1/4 cup to start, just because it's very dense, so you don't want to start like eating and attempting to digest a brick. But it's great when it's paired up with other protein powders. And then finally, we've got hemp protein. This is one of the most complete vegan, vegetarian protein powders available. It has all amino acids. And actually, I think I said 22 before, but I think there's 21. There's also several essential fatty acids in this and fiber. But because of this, it's usually higher in calories and carbs. So for instance, where the pea protein was 80 calories, and it's 2 scoops, so this is 4 tablespoons at 110 calories. It definitely has a lot more carbs, but it definitely has a lot more fiber too. So if you take the total carb content of 13 grams and you net out the dietary fiber, which is 11 grams, you're only looking at about 2 grams of carbs with regards to the pea protein is 1. So you can see it has its differences. It's kind of earthy, and it kind of looks earthy too. It's more green, like an olive green. And you can mix hemp with cocoa and have these amazing chocolate recipes, like for truffles and puddings and things like that. So those are the 5 protein powders I wanted to show you today. Hopefully that's given you the basis with which to continue your own research and establish your own protein powder pantry. You know, you're not using a lot of these in one sitting, so the investment that you're making when you establish your protein powder pantry, it might be a little bit more at first, but you'll soon discover what your favorites are and stuff. So I just like having them on hand, because you never know when you're going to find a really good recipe that you want to try or tweak or create. And speaking of creating, I've created 2 recipes for you that I think you're going to love. Again, we're going to do protein peanut butter chocolate chip cookies, and we're going to do a chocolate mousse a la protein. And so we'll get started. I've got everything pretty much portioned out for us right here. We're going to start off with the peanut butter chocolate chip protein cookies, and I've got my recipe here. Again, another best practice is to keep your favorite recipes in a protective plastic sleeve. I know I've said it before, but I buy these sleeves at the Dollar Tree. I think 16 of them are $1, so it's a no-brainer to keep and preserve your good recipes. So we're going to get started, and then once we're done with this and we have everything, we have the cookies baking, I'll move over to the chocolate mousse because it's super easy. And the best thing that I like about that recipe, it literally only takes 5 minutes or less, and you can eat it for a nice snack, or you can serve it for dessert. And I know your family's gonna like it as well. So we'll get started with our peanut butter chocolate chip protein cookies. I'm gonna just look, now again, I use the Gene Pro protein to help fortify with additional protein. And so when we're looking at the nutrition of these cookies, per 1 cookie, you're going to have 70 calories, 2.8 grams of fat, 4.9 grams of carbs, and 6.3 grams of protein. And that's with the Gene Pro. So if you don't have the Gene Pro, don't worry about it if you don't want to fortify that. The basis of these recipes, the recipes that I'm focusing on, are the ones that are easy and delicious, and things that would make you want to eat them over and over and over again, because it's not worth it if you try it and decide, it was okay, but I'll never do it again. And I've done that. I've made a carrot cake and a pumpkin bread that were good, and literally nothing wrong with it, but would I make them again? Probably not. These cookies I would make again in a heartbeat, which is why I'm making them for you today. And again, I'll have that recipe posted for you. I think it's scheduled to post on our Facebook page 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock. It might be 3 o'clock, so stay tuned for that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with our 2 scoops of Gene Pro. I'm going to throw that in there. And then I'm going to do a 1/2 cup of vanilla protein powder, and that's the Premier protein that I use. Again, the brand names are going to be what work for you. I will tell you though that the next time I order vanilla and chocolate protein powder, I am trying a different brand. I was doing some research on Amazon, and I'm getting low on both of those protein powders, and those canisters have lasted me a very long time. But I did find one that had a better calorie structure and a really good deal. So, but for now, we're gonna deal with the protein powder. Half a cup of vanilla protein powder. All right, and then we're gonna do a 1/4 cup of casein protein powder. And then we're going to do a 1/4 cup of coconut flour. The two different kinds of flour are gonna help add bulk to that too and keep that flavor. Coconut flour and almond flour, if you don't have those in your protein powder pantry already, are really nice to have. And I know that you can get them both at Sam's Club and Costco in a more cost-effective way than just going to the grocery store. You can also look on Amazon as well. All right. And now we're gonna do almond flour. So we're gonna do both of those, a 1/4 cup each, coconut flour and almond flour. And then we're gonna do a 1/2 cup of PB Fit, peanut butter powder. And it doesn't have to be PB Fit, that's the brand name. That's what I use, and I do buy it. The price is the exact same whether you get it on Amazon or Costco. So I'm gonna throw that in there. I think there was another brand that I used to have, and now I can't remember the name of it, but PB, I don't know. If anyone knows, chirp in and let me know what the other brand was. I can't believe I can't think of it. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add our sweeteners. And I've chosen both white and brown sugar. This is Splenda, so these are artificial sweeteners. I love using Splenda to cook. Over the course of the recipe, in the grand scheme of things, oh, PB2, you're right, Renee, that's what it's called, PB2. That's a good one too. But at any rate, a 1/4 cup each of the Splenda brown sugar and the Splenda granulated white sugar. And then the other thing that I started adding are hemp hearts. These are amazing. They're super nutty, so they complement the peanut butter really, really well. And sometimes I can just like put some on my finger and eat it, and it's just delightful. So I'm gonna throw in a 1/4 cup of hemp hearts. You can do lots of other cooking with it, and I think I've got some tips and tricks of hemp hearts coming up soon. So if you want something, a recipe or more uses for it, you can put them in your yogurt. You can sprinkle them on an entree, like an Asian fusion entree. They're super, super yummy. So that can, oh, and then I think I've got a few more dry ingredients. I've got baking powder and baking soda at a 1/2 teaspoon each, and they're both in here, so I'm just gonna lump those in right now. And then I've got our wet ingredients, 3 wet ingredients. I've got a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then I've got 2 eggs. Would I use egg whites? Sure, you probably could use egg whites, but use the egg. The eggs are good for you. It's got the good cholesterol and the good fat, so I don't see any reason to forego using eggs as opposed to egg whites in a recipe. For a meal, I might change it up. For chaffles, I might change it up, but right now we're gonna use eggs. And then finally, our moisturizer. We are gonna use a 1/2 cup of, 1/2 cup of pumpkin puree. Not pumpkin pie, but actual pumpkin puree. All right. And once you have everything in there, you're just gonna mix it on up. So we'll do that real quick. It becomes a really nice batter consistency, and you'll be really surprised when you see how legit it actually works. It really looks truly legit, like a cookie batter. Too legit, too quick. Hopefully you guys can see it really well. And it does look like the bottom, it's getting to the bottom of the bowl too, and I can see the glass pretty well as well. So once it's all mixed, we'll be ready for our next step. I'm gonna stop this briefly, and now that it's all mixed, I'm gonna add a 1/2 of a bag of sugar-free Hershey's chocolate chips, And I saved the bag just in case you're not familiar with it. But they are legit Hershey chocolate chips. They are 70 calories for a tablespoon. And I'm using half the bag. And I'm gonna pour those bad boys in there. And you can get them at, if you're here locally, you can get them at Meijer. I think they're $3.50 a bag. They say 2 for $7. So now I want to make sure I mix those up a little bit more. And now we've got a cookie batter that I think is pretty awesome. And I will say, because my son seems to be the guinea pig these days, because he's the only one with an open mind enough to try this stuff. And he came home from work last week when I was testing this recipe out, and he's like, "Oh, what'd you make?" And I said, I said peanut butter chocolate chip cookies, and he's like, "Can I have one?" And I said, "Adam, you know that these are healthy." And he's like, "I know, I'll try them." And he was pleasantly surprised at how good that they were. I'm gonna rinse these off real quick because we're gonna need them for our chocolate mousse, so bear with me here for a moment. Actually, you know what I'll do is I will soak them in water. And then we can keep the party going over here. And now I've got my cookie sheet lined with parchment paper. And I've got a scoop. This is just a regular, like a cookie scoop, melon scoop. It is a Pampered Chef item, which I know I probably say it at least one time through every Facebook Live episode, but I am a huge Pampered Chef addict. It makes cooking so much fun. So now this is gonna make 22 cookies. I am going to lay them out on the cookie sheet, and then we're going to use a fork to help mush them down a little, similar to how you would do like regular peanut butter cookies to get that pattern in there. And the reason that I do that is because the baking powder and the baking soda are going to, I'm going to stop for a second. Renee, yes, sugar-free chocolate chips. It says it right here, sugar-free. You can get them in the cookie chocolate chip aisle. They're right there, right in the middle, and you can see them. They're really super yum. But at any rate, we're gonna make sure that we get these all laid out a little bit. And one thing that I'm gonna do real quick, another good trick, do you see that my scooper is now filled with batter? If I spray it first with cooking spray, it's gonna be so much easier to get these cookies out. And I always do my 4 corners at the beginning to lay everything out, and then I do one in the middle. And I can probably get, I think we have to do more spray. I will leave that there. I just want to get these, I'm going to do 4 one way and 3 the other, and I probably could do more than that, but just in the essence of time and space, we're gonna do it this way. Hopefully, does anybody have any questions about protein powder? Any quickie questions maybe we can address? Oh my gosh, check this out. It's time for more spray. All right, I'm gonna abort this one and spray more. All right. And now we've got these. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna bake them, here. I'm gonna spray my fork and I'm just gonna push them down a little. I don't want them to be too puffy, but I'm also gonna do this at the 6-minute mark too, and I'm gonna bake them on 350 for 6 minutes, and then I'm gonna reassess and see if they need any more mashing down with my fork, and if they do, I will do it at that time. I'm gonna put the batter here for now, and I'm gonna put these in the oven. And I'm gonna set it for 6 minutes. I'm gonna show you, even though we'll probably be here when the beeper beeps, I still wanna make sure that I show you the actual cookies. And they are delish. Can you see them okay? Hopefully you can. But these are great. It's a soft cookie. And these will stay soft because I've already gone through 2 batches of them. Adam really liked them, and he had a friend try them, and she liked them too. So They are really great. They freeze really well too. So that's kind of how I justify today's batch, because technically I don't need any, but I'm cooking for you today. And so what I'll do is I'll wrap them up nice and neat. Thanks, Liz. They look great. They taste great. It's awesome. And I can freeze them nicely, and they'll be there for when I want them next. So we will shift gears to our protein powder chocolate mousse. This is amazing. And I've made a couple different variations, right? I've made cafe latte version, and I've made the chocolate version, and I honestly don't know which one is better. It's amazing. So all I'm gonna do is take 2 cups of plain non-fat Greek yogurt. There's some good brands out there. The Fahey is really, really good. But to be quite honest with you, the Sam's Club brand of non-fat Greek yogurt is what I have been addicted to. It's just as thick as the Fahey, and it's like half the price. So it's a win-win situation. I buy them 2 at a time. So I'm gonna use 2 scoops of chocolate protein powder, and I'm using 2 scoops because that is the serving size for the Premier Protein. So I'm gonna throw that in there. And then this is a combination of 2 teaspoons of Splenda granulated sugar substitute and cocoa. And the reason I'm using the cocoa is to add more of a chocolate color to it. Otherwise it'll just be like a really faint brown, and it might, I think I posted a picture yesterday. I'm like, it needs to look prettier than that. And cocoa will just enhance the flavor, and the Splenda will help support that as well. So I'm gonna get my 2 beaters for my mixer. I got them all rinsed off. And all I'm gonna do now is mix it on up. It's gonna get really nice and thick. It's, oh my gosh, seriously. You can serve it with a little bit of whipped cream on it. You can throw some of those sugar-free chocolate chips on it too if you want. It kind of looks like an Oreo pie, but it's gonna have a little, you know, the sweetness from the sugar, and it's gonna have that nice tanginess that you like with the Greek yogurt. So it tastes like a very rich chocolate mousse. And this is just a great, what I normally do is I take, I either put it into a big container. I actually have the yogurt container that I took the yogurt out of to use it, or I have on order, they'll be here delivered tomorrow from Amazon. I've got 5.5 ounce souffle cups, the disposable ones with lids, that I can pre-portion this. So when I want something sweet, I can just grab it. But this looks phenomenal. Okay, my kids aren't looking. Yeah, it's pretty righteous. They saw those beaters, they'd be like, you could have dog poop on it, and they'd still ask to lick the beaters. Well, maybe not dog poop, but at any rate. So we've got our chocolate mousse, and I will demonstrate. You got a nice rich chocolate color, and it's nice and thick, and if you put it back in the refrigerator for a little bit, you will have a really, really nice dessert for dinner. So those are my 2 demonstrations. If you have any questions, certainly let me know. If I see it pop up on the screen, I can address them. But whatever questions you have, I'll be looking at the playback after this broadcast, and I promise that I will address your questions. Hopefully you enjoyed what you saw today. The chocolate chip protein powder, peanut butter cookies, oh my goodness, and then the decadent chocolate mousse made with protein powder as well. Upcoming events next week, we've got Viva Italia, and I just finalized the menu. We are gonna make an Italian pasta dish using vegetable zoodles and some other good veggies and some really good decadent stuff. And then March 21st, we've got Pizza Pizzazz. There's so many different ways to make pizza, and that's one of the things that I love about food treasure hunting, is that you do not have to feel deprived of anything when you do the research and find different ways to satisfy your cravings. As always, I want to let you know we're obviously on Facebook. This video will be posted to my YouTube channel, Bariatrics and Tips. We've got TikTok, we've got Instagram, and we've got Twitter. So we've got just about every avenue that you can find. Make sure you tell your friends about it. Make sure you share this on your page. If you have friends that have had weight loss surgery, some friends that maybe are contemplating weight loss surgery, or even friends that just want healthy, heart-smart recipes, I think that everyone can benefit from our Facebook group page. Everybody that participates in our page is a great asset to our page. And I am so thrilled. Actually, the cookies are looking good, so I'm gonna let it ride for another 4 minutes. They're mashed down really nice and they look very similar to what you see right here. But, oh, that would be great, Renee, thank you. Please tell everyone. I know that I now joined a support group for my bariatric clinic. We meet on Mondays at 6 o'clock, and it's just basically a group of us with the psychologist just talking, venting, telling us what works, telling us what doesn't work, and just getting a feel for the local support that's around. Some of those ladies and gentlemen in my support group are members of this page and some aren't, but it's just another great way to get support. And I think that as you move forward on your weight loss surgery journey, no matter where you are in the process, if you just remove the word deprived from your vocabulary, you're gonna be so much better off. You're gonna be so much better off because no one wants to walk through life knowing that they can't have something. You can have whatever you want. You just have to make the conscious decision to determine whether it's going to benefit you or not. And as you're making those choices, your family's gonna reap the benefits too. I tell my kids all the time, if I would have known back when I was their age what I know now about health and nutrition, I probably wouldn't have been the obese teenager and adult I was prior to my weight loss surgery. It's an education, it's a brain retrain. You can utilize your resources. Protein powders are just the tip of the iceberg, and all of us have it in our power to affect change and make this journey a positive one without feeling deprived. So that's where I'm gonna leave it today. Thank you so much for being part of this. I really appreciate it. I look forward to Sundays all the time because I just love sharing my knowledge and my experience, and I'm not perfect. And these things are what work for me, so I totally respect the fact that it may not work for you, but at least now you've got a frame of reference and you can start building your protein powder pantry, okay? Thank you so much. I'm Michelle Giesen with Bariatrics and Tips. I hope you have a fantastic Sunday. Eat well, live well, find flavor in everything that you do, okay? Have a good day, bye.